Good evening, folks. Going to call the meeting to order here at 7 o'clock on July 5th at 1 Academy Street. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review. Anybody got anything for?
No additions or changes for me?
Okay.
I have nothing.
Yeah. Earl, anything?
No.
Brian?
No.
Anything? Everybody else good? I just want to have personnel in your executive session.
Yep.
Your motion to approve the minutes from June 21st, regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Alright, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed, ayes have it. Public comment, anybody got anything to comment on that is not on the agenda? No?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know, just looked at you funny. I don't see anything on Zoom, so I guess we're good.
We thought you had.
Law enforcement, chief's report, page 3. It's on here.
Thank you.
Chief, for you.
Oh, thank you.
Magnet for your fridge and a pin for your car.
So, the first 3 pages are the incident summary. There were 55 incidents in June, and the top 10 incident types, you had 10 traffic stops, 6 motor vehicle complaints, 5 family fights, domestic disturbances, 4 agency assists, 4 citizen assists, 3 alarm responses, 3 suspicious people, 3 citizen disputes, 2 community outreach incidents, and 2 directed patrol incidents. And then the summary is attached on those next 2 pages. The page after that is the traffic summary. There were 10 traffic stops, 5 warnings, and 5 tickets issued, and out of those 2 of the traffic stops resulted in arrest. One for, well, on the arrest tab, which is the next 2 pages after that, they arrest for not driving with an interlock device and a separate arrest for driving under the influence. And then after that, I spoke with a resident of McQuam Shore, this was probably 2 months ago or so. She complained of speeding on the Shore Road. We have a few different ways to measure speed. We're able to put a box out and it captures speed of vehicles as they come along. And also our speed trailer does that as well. We're able to download the data from it. So we had the speed trailer set up on the transition from the town to the village on Spring Street, and then also had it down on McQuam Shore. And when we pulled the data about 2 weeks ago, it was pretty shocking, the data that it pulled off that. And the data is actually incorporated into this on the next couple pages. It's a little hard to read because the first page is essentially, it's in a spreadsheet format, so your first page would be the first one, and then the second and third one you would want to put below it, and it shows you the times a day and the actual speeds recorded. There is you'll notice some dates from 2021. I asked Don about that, and he said he wasn't sure. He thought he had cleared the system, and he wasn't sure why there were a couple dates from 2021. But in any case, it's still a sample of data from McQuam Shore. Recording. So out of these, the summary page here that I put together, out of 6,903 speed measurements, 5,478 were above the 40 mile per hour speed limit. This is approximately 79% of the vehicles traveling down McQuam Shore Road were above the speed limit of 40 miles per hour. Out of the 6,903 measurements, 3,893 were above 50 miles an hour. This is approximately 50% of the vehicles measured. And when we get into that more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, that's generally where you'll have officers doing traffic enforcement, stopping vehicles for those violations. And then out of those 6,903 measurements, 435 were above 60 miles per hour, which is approximately 6.3% of the vehicles measured. There was an anomalous one you'll see on the sheets lower down. There was one I think that it picked up at 90 some miles per hour, which most likely was a motorcycle. And then subsequent to that, I want to say that weekend, Sergeant Gagne saw a bike go by and he picked it up at 118, 119 miles per hour. I'm a Quam Shore, and he's working on figuring out exactly who that is. He's got a pretty good idea who that
It
is.
wasn't the red one they've been jabbering about over Facebook that likes to fly up and down Quam Shore.
It might be. I'm not sure. He's pretty confident he knows who it is, and so that person's going to end up getting charged with a minimum of careless and negligent
Good. It's about time.
operation. So, given the data, I was pretty shocked by this data pulled off the box, and I went down there on that weekend and did a sharp detail during the day for about 5 hours and monitored traffic. And the majority of people were in the 10 mile per hour over range, somewhere below the speed limit, but most were in the 40s roughly. There were a couple I ended up stopping. I stopped everybody 11 or over. I stopped who I encountered over that 5 hour period from 11 a.m. till 4 p.m. There was one at and you'll see it on the incident list, one at 51 miles per hour, one at 53, and one at 54 miles per hour. And I issued 2 tickets and a warning for one person who was 11 over. But again, down there, I mean, there were probably, I saw in excess of 50 to 60 or 50 or more cyclists, are in the neighborhood, people walking back and forth. So there's a lot of traffic on that road, and I was shocked by the data and the speeds that we were picking up in that measurement. In any case, I wanted to share it with.
I think it's important to really run some direct patrols down there to help curb some of that, because it is that time of season, especially if you're down there for tourism, people out doing their walks and what have you. I just think it's important to really try to help curb that and show a really large presence down there if we could.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may make.
Go ahead.
Received 2 phone calls in the past 3 days. One is the Vashon Road has got repeated cases of speeding up and down that road. And the other one, it must be something to do with being lakeside, Lakewood Drive this weekend. They said it was like a raceway. And so the person this morning was quite upset. He is going to be circulating a letter, whatever he wants, speed bumps and whatnot. So he was very upset. There was a lot of people there this weekend, of course, and parts of Lakewood Drive very narrow.
Yes.
And so that so it seems to be a problem. And just open suggestions. I don't know. Back in my former life would be had to be 20 years ago or more. The P.E.G I was the village trustee, the police commissioner, and the select board had the sheriffs doing the patrol, the work, the coverage, but there was speeding problems then, and the select board basically worked a deal out with the police chief, the village police, and I don't know, they paid like $3,000 or $4,000, but the amount of tickets issued were incredible over a period of 3 or 4 weeks. Now, so long ago I can't remember, but I remember it taking place. And so that, and it was strictly, speed enforcement is what they were doing.
How many days was this over, this report?
It has it in the report itself.
I mean, a couple weeks, a month, or
No, it doesn't last that long. Yeah, it's got a battery life, and then the battery will die.
So we had almost 4,000 over 4,000 cars in 8 days that broke the speed limit? That's what you're saying?
There were, yes, more than that. I want to say 5, technically over the speed limit, over the 40 mile per hour speed limit on the shore. It was over 5,000. If you look at the summary page.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there. So it's roughly 3,893 speeders went by that we could have wrote tickets for in 8 days. That's pretty scary.
Gotta be
It's crazy.
realistic about it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the numbers like at 45 and below, how much that drops at 5,000.
It's on that sheet, so you
Oh, it
can
is?
see,
Yeah,
so
it's a
you can see the
There's
breakdown.
different columns.
I wanna say it's 41 to 45, if I remember correctly. But it's, again, hard to read in the format, you'd have
Yeah,
to tear these
okay.
sheets off and just drop it down.
So if you're saying that's gonna drop that down to quite a bit.
Let's see, 46 to 50, it had 1,006 vehicles out of that 6,000.
Alright, what about from 40 to 46?
From 41 to 45, there were 579.
Yeah.
So really, the majority of people were exceeding the speed limit, and then when you get on the outliers, I mean, still, and again, even 51 to 55, so you're talking 11 to 15 miles per hour over the speed limit, 2,075 vehicles. That's substantial.
Wow. I guess
Scary.
if we're gonna have a real discussion about this, then I'm gonna have to throw this out, and nobody's gonna like to hear it, but maybe the speed limit's too low.
I don't know, to me,
Well,
I mean,
don't think so.
I haven't spent a lot of time on the
Well,
shore, but it's
you know,
a narrow road,
dense
there's no
population down
shoulders,
there too.
and there's a lot
Oh,
of
I know,
homes
I
on either
understand
side of
that
the road.
Lakewood Drive has one section that's really bad, I understand, I'm just throwing that out there as part of the discussion. Isn't there some kind of way that roads are supposed to how you calculate the speed limits on roads? What should be realistic and what isn't?
There's probably a number of different ways to do traffic studies, but I would say, I mean, here's the thing, in most rural areas in the state of Vermont, right, the speed limit is the basic rule, which is 50 miles per hour.
Right.
So, but in a lot of those areas, it's pretty open country, it's farms, and the homes are spaced out. I would say Mequon to shore is much more dense as far as a residential
Yeah,
population.
you have that same issue on Lakewood Drive too. And there's one section on Lakewood Drive where they're right close to the camps and the houses now, they're right close to the road. And they're on each side of the road, and I understand where their concerns coming, but how to address it is gonna be an issue. I think one of the really things that, the only way you're really gonna address it is if the town has some daytime presence, the village police have some daytime presence in those areas.
But are these, I know this shows the hours a day, is the majority of evening time, or is it all spread out on this report?
I thought it was spread out pretty consistently. I mean, some of the extreme speeds, I can tell you that really extreme speed, because Sergeant Gagne was down there at night, doing the same thing after we pulled this data, and I had a conversation with the sergeants and let them know. One sergeant actually previously was more monitoring Spring Street, and he was out there doing directed patrols consistently, and he wasn't capturing any really excessive speeds himself. And definitely it seemed to be less of an issue than down on the shore. But you can see the speeds, and then if you set this up, I mean, realistically, this is the way it should be set up. And if I break this apart for you, right, it kind of reads in this manner, like a spreadsheet, and then you can, and then this would be the top again. And it shows you, the miles per hour over the speed limit. And then when those vehicles were captured, it'll show you the instances of that with the different times associated with it. But it seems like it's fairly spread out.
And I'm just gonna throw it out there, cause I do every time we talk, I think, is, 105 isn't any better than what Calm Shore is dealing with right now. It's bad up there. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think I've seen a cruiser up there, I couldn't tell you when, so. I don't see much on here. There's been stopping cars or anything on here, on 105, so. So it'd be nice to see some more presence up there. I know everybody's complaining about speeding, but. I know, I asked you before, is there any highway traffic money out there for extra hours and stuff?
There is, that's what I did
The
it
village
on.
used to split it with the town and the village.
Right, but the issue is that it's Governor's Highway Safety Detail, so officers are doing it on their time off, regularly scheduled time off. So it's getting those officers involved. I know I had an officer come in 2 days this past weekend also, and do some traffic enforcement on the detail.
Is there any, I know sometimes they get together other agencies and do traffic stops, you know, they'll do a.
They will, I could definitely reach out to, the organizer of the Governor's Highway Safety Detail and see if we could get a detail specific
It'd be
to.
nice to see that on
to
two of
the
our
town.
roads. And I don't know, I'm a firm believer, you know what, you hit their wallet where it hurts, and they'll smarten up. You know, this warning thing, I just don't think works. When you got 4,000 people speeding in 8 days on one road, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'd say it's,
Yeah.
it's pretty, substantial.
They'll learn, when they're gonna pay a ticket,
Yeah,
they'll think about it the next time.
yeah.
Is there any way possible that some of the hours could get swapped around, even if it was 4 hours or 2 hours during the day? I mean, you know, based on, I know what a contract calls for, but, that would be a substantial first step.
Right, I mean, it's difficult to do the way our schedule is set up. I mean, we have really, the reality is that the agency is set up with minimum staffing all the time. So, it's possible to probably try to do something like that. I would have to look at the schedule and see, cause right now, essentially an officer is scheduled on the evening shift to cover the town specifically. So to split, we couldn't split shifts, but could maybe try to have one of us out during the day, cause it's normally myself, right now, myself, the sergeant and the admin officer who are present during the day, and the sergeant's really the one who's out there doing patrols.
Yep.
Um,
Are you full staff now, or is it?
we are full staffed, yes. Yeah,
Well, that would be a big first step if it's possible, I think, you know, that would help. And what other recommendations would you have?
I mean, I think that, I mean, and depending again what the town likes, one of the frustrations I have, again, obviously being relatively new, is that we get a lot of people calling us from the town who, during the daytime, where we're having to steer them to state police, cause they're just confused by the notion of the contract and the hours of it. So, I mean, realistically, I think that the full coverage, similar to what the village receives, would probably be the best bet. I know the troopers would probably certainly like it, because they're also taxed right now.
Well, it could be a very hard sell because of the cost. So don't see that happening right off. I mean, it's possible that maybe next year we could do something different we did with the contract this year, but now we're into this contract, and I don't, you know, even if this one that's assigned doesn't work one night and works one day or something like that, half a night, and then maybe in the afternoon go from 1 to 8 instead of 5 or 6, whatever it is.
True, we could probably adjust the schedule and get some overlap, and I could see, you know, the appetite for something like that.
Now, being full staff, if monies was available, would be possible to have additional hours covered for these certain areas that we're looking at. What will that do to the village?
I think so, I think it's certainly possible at this point with the number of part-timers that
If
we
we
have,
get 2-3 hours additional a day,
and
just for a number for conversation.
right, I think the easiest way to do it now with the way the schedules are set up would be to have to try to adjust the schedule to bring it down during the day more, and then have it overlap into the evening.
Because I just hate to leave ourselves a little more vulnerable.
I know, but are we
Are
gonna
you-
spend more money right now?
Well, I think Mark's question was, can you tell us what it, or I'm obviously gonna find out, but what it costs us to get, you know, every now and then a few more hours a day.
Right, I would have to look at it.
Yeah, I don't have that number.
So we had a pretty good idea last year when they brought their proposal in for.
If we're
Yeah,
just,
but we're not talking about 7 days a week,
no, if we could say,
2 shifts a day.
what would it cost the town for 10, 15, and 20 additional hours a week? Just for a number, if you wanna give us a breakdown, just to
Okay.
start the conversation.
And you say you were leaving us vulnerable, but just looking at it though, I mean, in the wee hours of the evening, there's not many calls. There's some, but not many.
Right, and I think it depends, it seems pretty random,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You get a
Yeah.
critical incident and you just never know.
Yeah.
But,
This is something I think we can look at, is what would it cost? if-
yeah,
if we were-
and
we could
we'll still
afford
leverage the resources that we have, you know, as far as the Governor's Highway Safety Detail. I mean, I will reach out to the organizer, and see if we can't get some other units to come up and really saturate.
Exactly.
And we may
But,
find
you
that
know.
it's that time of year and every community is
Yeah.
probably facing the same thing right now.
Yeah,
increased speeding, especially in the summertime.
yeah.
Definitely.
And I think it's been a lack of enforcement during COVID that, operationally departments pulled back. So across the board, you saw, less traffic
Yep.
enforcement.
All right, so I mean, something we can look for next meeting, or even if you can get ahead of time,
Yeah,
that'd be
send us
great
an
for us
email.
to take a look at.
Yeah, just send it to Brian and forward it to us.
Okay.
Yeah, see about, adjusting that schedule.
If you can get us those numbers, and then we have our next meeting, we can talk about it, it doesn't, you don't have to be here, but we'll have somebody here to talk about
Couple
it.
different options.
Okay.
Makes sense. Okay. All right,
Fair
I
enough.
think we're all good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
And also, could we let us know that if you were able to adjust that schedule a little bit to, do the overlap deal?
Yep, yep, I can do that.
Alright, good, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great evening.
Thank you.
Health officer report, do we have one, Brian?
No, we don't have
No.
one, but, we'll talk in executive session.
Okay, sounds good. Old Town Business, ARPA fund suggestions, that was for the board members to, come up with their ideas.
What I got from the packet was, just bullet points from, the meeting, the, spring meeting we had, and these are, what were brought up. It's kind of brought from the board, brought from myself, and as well as suggestions from the public. And I took that out of the minutes, rather than trying to have everybody go through the minutes.
I'll hand out just some stuff that I threw down out of my thoughts and part of the discussions of the public, their input. I certainly didn't spend it all, because I don't know if I could logically in my mind think for it all. It's just some of my thoughts, and I'll just read it out loud for the ARPA funds. Well, I think because the community center was one of the biggest talking points in the last year in this community, whether they've been on forestry and the rec. My numbers just to start with was $600,000 for the community center. Then another $150,000 towards the rec. But these didn't just go to the rec. So bear with me. Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Terminus parking lot. Paved Lamoille Valley Rail Trail from the terminus to the Waugh Farm Road, if we are allowed to do that. I'm thinking yes, it's gravel now, but again, there are people that may want to push strollers easily up there, may want to use skateboarding, so on and so forth. Clean up 4th Street property, add a pavilion in the parking lot to at least get that started. Handicap access to the ramp and steps, because I did go over there and I did take a look at that. And I don't know how the elderly are getting from the bottom part to the top part, because it's gotta be tricky with them rocks.
Which steps, that? Where are you?
From the lower parking lot in the rec field to get up to the ball field.
yeah.
I think it was mentioned in the last one. I would hate to invest money if we were gonna reconfigure that whole area, but in the meantime, you may have a better sense of what it would build, some kind of ramp to get people up there. I think that's important. Again, $50,000 for website design and communications, a new town website, a board for the laptops, but then I kinda got stuck as if we can't just do this board, we gotta do them all. Is it worth it? Maybe not. I'm just tired of seeing paper after paper after paper, boxes of paper being spent. Other system upgrades, any upgrades within the library or here or anywhere else that we may have to look at. And then signage from the rail trail to the walking trail, pointing down in here to the village. And I think there's gotta be some collaboration with the village on that part, because I think if we wanna sell the village, I think there's gotta be some buy-in on them as well. I put down $100,000 for town building improvements. A library needs a furnace, insulation, window replacement, window capping, walking bridge repairs, the floor decking and structures. There's some painting and chipping that needs to be redone there as well. Still left about $200,000. Again, future funding grants up to 2026. Who knows what they're gonna be? I know we have to have some of it earmarked for them. We don't know what that's gonna be, so I think we still have some set aside. There's gonna be scoping studies for recreation, community center in McQuam. And then we talked about planners, who knows what that's gonna involve. But this is, for me, these are my thoughts of taking out what the public had to say, and my initial thoughts, but I think we talked about recreation, tourism. I think that's really where it starts. That's just me and not knowing what the town needs. We talked about a sidewalk plow, again, and had that discussion with you.
Yep.
Are these projects that we're gonna get grants for? I'm sure there are some there, but I think community center, in my opinion, as a member of the community, I think is where we really need to start. So, that's my thought. If any of you guys would like one of these, I can certainly give them to you as well.
I really appreciate this. A lot of these things are also on my list. A community center is definitely something that's very well needed. As I'm gearing up to have over 100 kids at the rec facility starting next week, I know not only the children but the adults would appreciate more space as our programming is looking to grow. I really also feel that the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Terminus is something that we need to focus some attention onto, as that's going to bring lots of people into our community, as well as the 4th Street, because that's, you know, people coming in off the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. If they continue down the trail, 4th Street's a great opportunity to be a welcome center to our neighborhoods, to the community of Swanton. I also would very much agree with making the whole entire rec center ADA accessible. There's some other pockets of places that could use some attention as it stands now to make it ADA accessible. Website, hands down, I think we need to have more attention to that, and bringing some of our systems more digitalized. Signage, tourism. I think the more we look into diversifying our attractions, such as our recreational assets, that's going to help our community grow. That's going to make people want to move here more, build houses more, continue to invest into Swanton. And I also very much agree with the town buildings. I think having some money to put us into maintaining our municipal assets, especially the Fit and Healthy Bridge, the library, as we all know, and communications. I think we really need to start spending a little bit of money into building communication networks in our community. That's something in every meeting I've gone to that we always really seem to struggle with. And I think whether it's building a position to do the communication work, whether it is the planner, whether it's, I don't have all the answers to it right now, but I think that would be a really wise investment for some of these funds.
I think if I may, for the community center, I can't help but think that I'm trying to think 5-10 years down the road, because I don't think the current rec the way it is will be able to handle that. So I really think that we may need to go to the point of a board of directors, and really it's going to be a full-time jobs, part-time jobs, because what you have, there's no way they're going to manage that. And no disrespect to you or the board, I really think that that's going to be a whole nother set of arms and legs there alone. So for me, growing up in the community, recreation and sports as a youth, for me, we're the only thing. But sports then and recreation was much different then, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, than what it is today and where it's going to be. So I think that's, for me, my biggest thing. But I think we just got to be careful. If we build it, they're going to come, but we better be able to have the support around it, because if we don't, we got to treat it almost as a business, because we want to sell that space and bring the people in. It's just not a matter of having a building where people can go to congregate. It's selling that building to community, and really using it to make money as well, to help be able to cover its own costs and not just taxpayers. Exactly.
Earl, thoughts?
Oh, well, I agree with most of everything that's written on here. It's very similar to what we heard. One thing that, a lot of this stuff here, but is all things we need to do. That, if we're gonna attract people, we're also gonna have to plan on have a place for growth. And, we need to put some money into planning for that. And I'm specifically the Southern Coast District. The website is on everybody's list,
Yep.
and that we're working on right now.
Yep.
That, we definitely gotta get that done, I don't, it's something we shouldn't be putting that off. The other thing is the downtown area, I think we're gonna have to make an investment there. All fits in with the funding you're talking here, not a problem, but I'm gonna, I've given this a lot of thought, and I agree, community center is something, and the recreation can be improved. We're not taking advantage of all the possibilities that are out there. Limoilles Valley Rail Trail, connects on to our own, trail, Richard Thompson Trail, but, I would do 4th Street as a welcome center. I would prefer to bring it down further and have another trail on the, I guess you would say you'd be turning right before you got to the river. A trail through there that came right down to Marble Mill, and maybe that's where you might wanna have somewhat more of a,
Sure.
because we're not taking any kind of advantage whatsoever of the Missisquoi National Refuge. I mean, it has a lot to offer, and if it was sold, it would draw a lot more people. There's a possibility that, someone could set up kayaking on the river, to bring it down, it's one of our resources. That also gets these people close to the downtown area. And, you know what, it is traffic and pedestrian, but I believe it's possible to improve that if we make a significant investment. And I'm talking maybe buying property in order to improve that walkway across 78. It can be done, that area could be opened up a little bit more. I think it would be a big improvement. And then if you had that trail and you had people coming down there, they would feel so intimidated going up the hill to see what's downtown. Now, there was an application put in for the Merchants Row, I believe that had to do with a health store and fitness thing.
Right,
Yeah.
That's a village grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
But these type of things might attract people, there might be other things, what Mr. Winters is proposing on the theater property, that's something that people coming down that trail might wanna go up and check out. We'll have to advertise it, we're gonna have to, put this stuff together, and that's where I might say, if you're talking planner, I'm talking someone that could, help Brian or whoever to get all this extra work done, so, we can do it. But, I wanna throw into the rec center, I think the thing that's gonna make Swanton just as attractive as that, community center, is a place for high quality daycare. And I'm not saying we're gonna pay for it out of our property taxes, but we might be able to use some of this funding to make it affordable for somebody to do it. And it could be part of our whole rec thing. Young kids are extremely important, if we're gonna change society and some of these issues that, and I just had to watch the news again tonight, it's very sad. That ain't gonna change unless we can, help these kids out, and that's the only way you can do it, is high quality daycare. And if we got an opportunity here to make an investment in that, has part of the community center type theory, I think right now it's time to do it because we have an opportunity to do it.
I agree with mostly everything all of you said as far as the ideas. One thing I did want to see in there was some infrastructure money for our highway department, for our roads and bridges and whatever else we got going on. I think that, I know it's important. I certainly agree with the community center, and all these other things we have listed here are all important things too, but we also need our highways up to standard and stuff so that we can get our people in here, so. I like everything I've heard, and like you said, community center is important. I think it's a big thing, rec. And you've got it in here, Mark, that some money set aside for our building infrastructure, repairs and that kind of stuff. But I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And I did have, actually, Ed gave me his thoughts too, cause he couldn't be here tonight, but I'll add his. Yeah, if I can find it. His thoughts were the first and foremost of the rec serious upgrades, 4th Street property, McCollum Shore upgrades, good comparison to Cullen Park, the other end of McCollum Shore. Dollars to be spent on present buildings and fund account upgrades in the future. So basically, he's on the same page we are.
I guess I just be,
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I wanna, Ron, I'm not shorting the transportation museum. People can go there first and then come back and go up there, okay? I just want you to know that. That's all.
I guess it's just a matter of next steps. I think
Where do we
we've
start?
heard from the public, you know, I think that the community center, I think is important to all of us, is how much do we wanna earmark for that, and just know that, hey, we set up this X amount aside, that we're not gonna touch it no matter what, that's gonna go for seed money for that. Then depending on whatever bond may come out of that, who knows, I mean, we haven't had discussion with the village on that part, but I think that's the other key part, not to step away from them, but again, to hear where they were gonna go with their money and their input, I think is the other key piece before we go too far than saying, hey, let's set X number of dollars aside for the community center. I think to me, that should be the first thing that we do. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
Do we have a scheduled date to meet and talk with the village
I don't
about?
know if we've had a return to that yet.
No.
I thought Reggie had mentioned something about maybe August, but I can check with him tomorrow, see where. I don't know if they've had their meeting yet.
Not that I know of.
Not that I know.
No, I
They
talked to him
had it
last
in
week.
July and then.
July, that'd be good. We'll be talking August. Have a joint meeting.
Maybe we'll set that up then, Brian, see.
Alright.
Do we want to, make a motion to earmark, X number of dollars for the community center before we go any further? That's my thought.
Well, we don't have a clue what the total cost is gonna be, or even what kind of plan we're gonna come up
We
with.
better have-
It might be a little bit premature, but,
That's,
Uh,
out there.
you know,
Yeah.
what, you didn't equal, you had 600K stuck in there.
I said five, at first I wrote, at home I wrote.
I was thinking
I wrote-
4, I'll be honest
I
with
wrote
you.
5 at home at first, then the more I thought about it, I said, no, let's go 6, so. That's my thought.
So basically, if we go 600,000, that's half what we got.
Yeah, at least, at least,
But if you look at it this way,
5.2.
everybody's idea, the top priority thing is the community center or the rec, however we
Absolutely.
use that money. But,
Joe?
Yeah.
That's all.
I'd like to really talk to you guys under 5B before you put any type
Yeah.
of thought to
Okay.
price and give you some thoughts of,
Sure.
that's why I've got
that's fine.
that as a discussion item there, but
Cause I think before you put a price on the table, maybe we should think strategically, like,
Good.
how much?
Yeah,
And that's what
makes
we wanna
great
talk
sense,
about.
yeah.
there's some things I wanted to propose that would help get toward
Good.
Yep.
where you're trying to go, and you still got a
You
little
wanna-
time if you haven't met with the
No.
village.
You wanna talk about it now, we can come back to that, what we were just discussing.
Cause both of my discussion items are related to what you're talking about, so if you want, I'll be glad to jump up there.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Public input, Joe.
That's right.
Alright.
Well, first of all, just hearing the beginning of your discussion is nothing but very welcome, so that's awesome. I think I'd like to start with the LVRT trailhead if I could at first, because there's a couple things that enter right into all of your discussions. Don't have full-scale drawings to look at, but this will give you some idea.
Sure.
Can't read that.
I got my glasses on, I still have one.
I'm scanning my phone so you can zoom in and zoom out.
Yeah.
But over the last few weeks, we had the wetlands coordinator come in and take a look in the fall.
Yep.
And the wetlands coordinator is finally,
Can you see Robin Hood right here?
so for
There you
order,
go.
Now,
Yeah, there
now,
you go.
I got it.
Must be, Precision Tools must be over here.
Precision Tools
Yeah.
is right here,
That's
Robin Hood,
Yeah.
the trail here, the LVRT, and then the fitness path is here.
Yep.
And the school district is right over here.
Okay, yep.
So what we showed you before was a possible layout, and then we put in for the grant, which we didn't get. But in the meantime, have met with both the state, spoken with the state stormwater person, and have had the wetlands individual out there. And the wetlands individual, and this is what's gonna be a little hard to see, but this line, which goes into the parking lot and into the little connecting pad,
Buffer zone?
is the buffer zone.
Yep.
So now we've got it at least defined. So we need to probably, the best thing to do is to reduce the parking area just a little bit. I think it'll still be big enough to accommodate people that wanna use the trail and get snowmobiles and trailers in there, etc. But we get out of the buffer zone, otherwise you have to apply for a wetlands permit
No,
every 5 years. You've gotta pay to
Yeah.
impact the buffer zone. You gotta get more engineering done out there to make sure you stay exactly where you say you're gonna be.
Don't bring in the frogs.
And it's just gonna become it's gonna become a recurrent issue
Yeah.
for us. The good news is, we can make what we want out there.
Yeah.
And by reducing the buffer zone a little bit, and the stormwater permits changed as of 1 July, and if you exceed a half acre now of impervious surface, not 1 acre, you have to get a stormwater permit, and here they might make you put in some little pond, etc.
Yeah.
A few changes here, we can get under the half acre, as far as impervious surface.
Well, what's that parking area now, it's over half acre?
Just barely. It's just a few hundred square feet over,
I counted
Is there
20
room to
something
shove that over
spaces, so
anymore?
that's what it would be.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces that could accommodate a pickup and a trailer, or 16 cars. That's that middle section.
Yeah.
And then there's another 8 or so
On the other side.
on the other side, closer to the trail.
That's not bad.
So I think that would be a pretty good start down there.
Joel, is that the bathroom facilities?
Well, that's part of what I want, that's changed since, we talked about maybe putting some portalettes, and that's what these two little, the box with the two little,
Yep.
X's.
I see. Yep.
But since then, the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is coming out with grants specific to the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. And they're talking, some pretty big bucks. It's a 20% matching. And the whole thing is centered around things like parking areas and stuff. So that is due, let's
Yeah, is
see.
it like $2 million out there or something? That's what I thought I read. Yep.
They don't have the info to actually start the grant yet, but it's August is when they anticipate getting that out, and it's due in October. So one of the reasons I wanted to get on the agenda tonight is I want to go meet with Cross Consulting and finalize the plan. But I also think we should get them to do an estimate to put in actual sewer and water there and some lights. If we get this grant. 20% match, let's just say let's say everything came up to 180,000. If we invested 36 out of ARPA, what a return on investment to make.
Maximize this ARPA money with a lot of grants.
Right, and part of it would be signage there, etc.
Yeah.
But in looking at your numbers, all of a sudden it's a smaller number related to that trail if we can get this grant and still get even better than what we originally had planned. So if I have your permission, I'm going to meet with Cross Consulting and get an estimate to do the work and present it to you folks to move ahead. You'd already said you would match the other grant for 6,000 or whatever. So I'll find out what it's going to cost to get the engineering. It'll make the grant look that much better prepared by a consultant. And we'll be ready in October to go for even.
Well, we need that 6,000 for the match on that grant, though.
That's the other grant we applied for.
Yeah.
If we get that grant, it'll just reduce. We can go in and start doing some of the gravel work and stuff, and that would reduce the total amount we need under this next one that's coming.
Now, is there room, Joel, to shuck this over at all, or is it tight?
No, that boundary line
Yeah.
is pretty much into the residential over here. It actually goes across that little bed a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask, where.
Yeah. This must be the old railroad bed here.
That's the line on it.
Yeah.
That's the actual boundary line of the property
Yeah.
with the
Do you know how
property.
far from that line to that road is, that residential road, do you know how
It's,
far that
it's a
is?
fair distance.
Yeah.
I
There's-
just wanna make sure that hedges or tree line is in there.
Yeah,
to help
there needs-
lots of
something
build
needs to
lights
be
from
done there.
There's no houses on that side of the
No,
street,
it's the other
they're all on
side,
the
but
other
it's
side of the
just
street.
Right.
vehicles pulling in at night.
Yeah.
they
Oh,
have
yeah.
lights.
And Nicole had, what the plan for the Moyle Valley Rail Trail shows a level 3 kind of parking area, and this, what we're doing right now is already fitting right into this, and, you know, they'll pay for some planning if we needed to, et cetera. So I think we got a real good chance to clean this up, take advantage of the Moyle Valley Rail Trail grant. Signage was mentioned earlier, that's big, we get some money for the signage, and, we go for it. So I would get that info from,
I'll take, is there a copy there?
I can send you.
Yeah,
one.
please.
I can get that info estimate from Cross Consultant and present it to the board and take the next steps, if that's what.
I make the motion to allow and give Joe permission to consult with Cross Consulting on next steps.
Also, I could,
Second on that, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Thank you for doing that, Joel.
You're most welcome, and that leads into the other thing I was gonna ask. While I'm talking to Cross Consultant,
Yep.
talking with Nicole, talking with Betsy, and the wetlands delineation, I'm working with the same guy that they're working with, is I wanna talk to Cross and get an estimate for you folks, for them to get us the boundaries of their property, look at a facility. I was thinking in my mind something around 3,000 square feet. And depending on the price per square foot right now, because that probably has to have sprinklers or something. Maybe some room for addition, but because of the type that it's, what's that?
All depends on the building, I'm sure.
Right, based on the use of the building.
Yeah.
But that's something they would take a look at and they would give us a better idea.
Yeah.
See how that might fit on there with the delineation of the wetlands that's in the progress right now, and maybe moving a field to make it all work, but just get a price from Cross Consulting to put some of that together for us. Not a full set of design yet, but take a real good look at, if we put a building in this spot, what's the water and sewer gonna run, et cetera. You know, get a price for a handicap ramp and stairs down there, an estimate from
Yeah.
them. Some parking, maybe move a field, depends. And this is all be worked with rec field, but I'm willing to help if that's, till they tell me no. And,
We take all the free labor we can get.
and then what that would do is it would give you a better figure. You know, let's say it may take a month and a half, but it'd give you a better figure. And I'm, in my mind, was thinking between 6 and 8, but we might get some matching money. You know,
I think that's, you know, something to do, but if we're talking about this community center, you know, we don't wanna do something now that's gonna change some other plan that we would've, that not allow us to do something we really wanted to do in the future as far as the community center's concerned. You know, and that community center is gonna be tied into the rack, so it's gonna be probably in that area, I would assume.
that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what we're talking
It's
about.
on site.
Yeah, we kind of shifted from the LVRT onto the rec community
I
center
understand
piece, and it would most likely be right on the existing rec property.
Yeah.
So we've started the process of looking into our wetlands and Joel's asking to follow up on behalf of the rec department on where that could fit on our property.
What I'd like to get an estimate is to get a professional to help put it on some paper and get some costs, so you can have a number that, okay, if that's the priority, then you get that number and decide whether you can go with it or not, and carve out your other monies, and it would probably take a month or two to get that number, but I'm gonna try to get with Cross Consultant this week and get some estimates and send it to you and say, okay, we need 4,000 to 5,000 for them to draw this up and give us some assistance.
I think it's a fair ask. It's
I
certainly
mean,
worth
it's not gonna cost any money to,
Yeah.
for me
No.
to talk to Cross and get you guys an estimate.
Nope, not at all, I don't have a problem.
But
Well, if we're gonna go that far, why don't we just have them take a look at connecting that, our path along the river back over there too. See if it would be if that's even feasible.
I'll get that as a separate cost,
Yeah.
an estimate
you
for
know.
that, if that's.
I mean,
that's-
why not? If we're gonna look into these things, we might as well get an idea whether they're even possible. They might come in right off the bat and say, no, there's no way it can happen, you know?
Wait, isn't that a wetland down there? below the cemetery, I'm pretty sure it is.
So I
So you're
I
gonna
think
be
that's
limited.
what, I think that's what we're gonna find out, but
Yeah.
until,
Yeah.
you know, so maybe the first thing we just ask them is they pull up the state wetlands map.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Just
and,
take a
and the
minute to look at
floodplain,
it. Yeah,
and the floodplains.
can you
that
go
are
down?
That'll come
you
into
know?
play too. you
Right,
know?
so between the floodplain and the wetlands, they should be able to tell us fairly easily if either there's some possibility or not.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can certainly ask them to go outside a figure to do that. But that's why I was put that on the list tonight to help try to move this whole ARPA and discussion and actually try to,
Really appreciate all you do, so. We all
glad to do it.
You're never retired,
Yeah.
just more time.
Life of service. That's what
Yeah.
it's about.
Joel,
Yes,
on that LVRT, when the parking lot's all said and done,
yep.
there's gonna be lights and all that stuff in there.
That, especially because of this other funding that's available, we certainly would look at putting some lights in there, and it's a safety issue as well.
That's why.
Especially with restrooms and things there, absolutely.
You know, especially if people are gonna walk in the evening.
Yep.
You know, I was just wondering, so.
Betsy, I don't know.
I don't really have a lot to add. Joel has kind of been the steering this whole train, and I appreciate it. I really love the conversation that you all had about the ARPA funds and how you're thinking about investing in the community, where recreation is involved, and getting people into our downtown is really important too, and really investing in our businesses. So I thank you for being such forward thinkers and really taking what we as a community have brought to you over the last few years and really implementing it into the recreation in our community, and where we all recreate. And I thank Joel for all the work he does for our rec department when some of us, I can't.
Absolutely.
And we'll get some info and get it back to you.
Gordon, do you have
Yeah.
to
Uh, when Peter's looking at it, Joel, or the proposal will be to draw a site plan to look at like where fields are laid out and where future buildings may be, or things like that, or is Peter just looking only at, wetlands and?
No, the wetland delineation is what will give us the ability to sit there and say, okay,
This can't.
if I put a 3,000 square foot building here and some parking, I need to move this field, can I move it or not because of that whole lower area we talked about?
Cause I just think of stuff, and we've talked about it several times about a master plan for the rec, but, if it's something that moves forward with Peter or whoever does it, you look at things like, we're talking about handicap accessibility and that, getting steps into that field. You know, it may be something that someone looks at grading wise, that changes the grading there, and that becomes a 2-level section, and then it fits a soccer field on there. Yeah, I have no idea, I'm just saying, I think we really, before we say we can't put something somewhere because of the garage, you know, maybe it gets changed, maybe that grades out, so there's not as much handicap ramp, and it fits another field of some sort, maybe it's a t-ball field. So I just think it's a important step, certainly where we're going with Peter. I just hope it keeps going from there, and it sounds like you guys are all on that.
That's exactly what this is all about. This is all about saying, all right, one of the goals is a building, combination rec community center, certain size. Can we get it there? What do we have to move? What other amenities, different things that were read on the list of things to do down there? That might involve regrading, it might involve, but that would all be part of what we're trying to do if we say this is what we want here, this is what we want to move over to here, etc. So that would be part of that discussion. And then you come before the board and it's like, no way, we're gonna put the building over here. We go back and do that and get the revised, I mean, that's the iterative process. Master plan, you can do it that way. I think, again, and I mentioned it in the last meeting, I think we have a fairly good idea of what we wanna try to do, so we work and see if we can make that happen within the budget that we have or that we think we can get and the constraints of the land.
Without losing any fields. because we all know we need more fields, not less fields or.
Well, that's what,
Yeah.
you know, you want it, like, I go to a few of these Little League All-Star games and you see the, you know, the support their community clubs in their beautiful fields, you know, you just see that happening in
Yeah.
Swanton, like hosting something like that, that drives people to all these beautiful kept fields with, you know, maybe it's a bakery around town, maybe it's something at the rec department, better concession stands, maybe 4th Street, you know, drives people there, that are having a game at one field and something else on the 4th Street fields, and I just think, thank you guys for, what you've put forward here this afternoon on your list.
As part of the ARPA's discussion we had with the public, I mentioned real estate, but did not want to have that discussion because it's too early unless it's an executive session. Could I talk with you folks in this
Yeah,
executive
because I was
session for
gonna
real
bring
estate?
this, I was gonna bring this up. Are we limit ourselves to just what's there now?
We are limited to what.
Yeah, but
no,
is there
that's a
a
great
plan that has been discussed or a vision?
In executive
That's it.
session, just would like to discuss a few things with the board, and either there are things we can move forward with, or we say no. And so to answer your question, Earl, there's some possibilities. But having those discussions prematurely without board approval,
Right.
there's
No,
no way I would
understand
do that.
but So long as that's being considered. The other thing, I agree with Gordon, I think we have to have a pretty good plan. I mean, if you're gonna go to Cross, you're not gonna have them design buildings or anything like that. All you're gonna have them look at
No,
is what land is available.
No, the next step after the decisions are made is to get the design of the building. The first step is, can you fit the building and the fields and get a layout that everybody's happy with? If we
Yeah,
get-
but
if we-
are
if we
you
get-
gonna present him with a plan that says this is what we
I'm
want?
gonna say, here's the ballpark size. And I'm throwing out, you
But
tell
the-
me if
but the
I'm wrong, I'm
biggest
gonna say
thing-
3,000, and you know, you can
Earl
look.
is, he's gonna say, you can use this much land, this is wetlands, you can use this land. That's the biggest, most important thing, what can we use down there first?
Okay,
And
that's
then-
what I mean. I
and
mean,
then
you're not
we
giving
say,
them
yes,
a
we got
building
room.
design or anything like that. You're gonna find out what can be used and what can't be used.
I'm gonna get a price for him to lay out and say, can we fit? And again, I'm gonna use 3,000 square feet, and it'd be easy once he does that, and you see it on a plan, and say, you know what, we can go a little bigger, but it's all gonna be, he can estimate the rough cost of the building.
Yeah.
If the building goes in this one area, it might displace a ball field. Can that go down into the area once we know the wetlands?
So all you're planning on is one 3,000 square foot building.
That's just a proposal.
Just to start the discussion, my thoughts is it should be expandable. We should look at that as, here's.
I agree. I mean,
Within
definitely,
a
definitely.
dollar figure that you guys have to work with, you're only gonna get a certain size. And
We all want
then
10,000,
and then the plan is, if it's expandable down there, that's something that we would talk about.
Yeah, but we might be able to leverage more money with the money we have. And even voters might be willing to bond for something that's good.
I love this discussion, and to get it started, we need to get something that we can look
Joel's
at
going in
here.
the right direction, the biggest part of it.
I've done a lot of facilities down at the Air Guard, and the whole process of working with people and trying to, you gotta get certain things, and then it's a reiterative process, and one day the light goes on, and everybody goes, you know what? That's what we want.
Yeah.
And now we figure out how we're gonna get it. But there's certain steps we gotta do to get to that point, Earl. That's
Well,
all I'm trying to help facilitate.
I guess what I would do is I would just say, well, 3,000 square foot building, I'd bring them a lot more options. Way grander than that. Just so we know what we do have or what we could do in the future at least.
What I would propose then is 3,000 with the expansion of another 3, and see what he comes up with. And you could come look at it and say, you know what, we could put 5 there. Let's go for the possible 5.
Yeah, something along that line would be better than just saying, oh, you want the 3,000 square foot building.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
want something
it
to
is.
expand, but the bigger the building, the more the parking, the less fields.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
More maintenance costs.
And that's why I've got some idea of a number, but again, there's anything that I'm trying to do, let's say he says he'll help us out for 3,000-4,000. We lay it out there and you guys say,
Yeah.
I wanna change that, that's the
Show us
process.
some options.
There's nothing concrete, but if we don't get.
You gotta start somewhere.
We don't get something to work with, then we're gonna just keep
Nope.
talking.
We're
Go
already
for
a
it.
year and a half into this session, let's continue to keep moving forward.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should, that's just why it's a good idea, Joe, but we need to look at it, I believe we need to have Fourth Street, the present rec area, Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, and our own trail, you know, with some kind of plan all together, if he's gonna look at it.
I think there, I think we can have that discussion, I think, depending on what lays out down there, we already know of a couple fields we talked about putting at Fourth Street and presenting that.
Yeah.
So that's one possibility.
Yeah.
And I think getting this.
But like Joel said earlier, the biggest thing is to have them figure out what we can utilize down there and what we can fit down there. Then once we know what we can fit down there, then we can say, oh, we don't need to move the ball field. Yeah, we do this, do whatever. Yeah, we gotta start there.
We get a scaled drawing we can lay down here, we can have a scaled ball field cut out of a piece of
And
paper,
we're
and
not
you can move
losing
it
out on
wherever you
anything
want.
by doing what we're doing.
It's what we need to do to get
Mhm.
to the next step.
Yeah.
And nothing's in stone, it's just getting the process further down the track, that's all I'm trying to
And
do.
the biggest thing is, like you said, the wetland delineation,
Yeah.
so we know what we can use down there.
And the process has been started,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it would be great help to continue.
I'll keep working with Ryan if I
Yeah.
get permission to do so.
Sounds good to me.
Well, the motion's been made, did we vote on it?
I voted on it, yeah, we voted. So we're all set. Joel's all good to do that.
Thank you, Joel.
So, thank you.
Thank you all for
All right.
this session.
No trips to Tennessee for you, Joel.
Anything else in the ARPA? We're good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Voicemail upgrade?
Really not much to upgrade, he's
Okay.
working the equipment, he's come up and taken a look at things and.
Get back to us again at the next meeting or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, just keep it on there, so boilerplate. Do we have a liquor license
We
application?
do,
Okay, page 7, I need a motion to go in liquor control.
I'll move.
Second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. And now liquor control, we got one to approve, you said?
yes, this is for Maple City LLC down on Brooklyn Street.
Okay.
That company has been sold.
Mm-hmm.
And the license holder is gonna continue the same type of operation, retail of maple, products and,
Yep.
But they do sell some, Vermont craft beer and wine, so
Yep.
thus they need a liquor license.
Okay.
The, new, corporate principal is Adam Goss
Mhm.
of, the Goss,
Yep.
funeral service.
Yep.
I know Kathy and I talked about this, we know that you usually, when first timers come in for a liquor license, you like to have them come in
That was my
first.
question.
But, Adam has, you know, his business, his other
Staple in the
business,
community, so.
around about,
Yeah.
around the clock practically.
Alright.
And he has been in business for.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the liquor license
So
for
I guess we need signatures
Maple City Candy.
there.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Now I'll take a motion to go back.
Make any difference where you sign in it?
No.
I'll make the motion that we exit, liquor control board.
I'll second.
Alright, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. We're now back in regular session. Survey proposals for the land acquired by the town, page 8. I just saw that now, but find it again.
Okay, we, in our last meeting, we talked about getting the property that was formerly owned by the Northwest Interfaith Council.
Yep.
It's adjacent to Cisco High School, which is landlocked, and have that surveyed. And I sent out an RFP to 3 firms, I got 2 back. They're both in the same ballpark. Bernard and Jarvis LLC, estimated cost between $3,000 to $3,500 with a $1,500 retainer due with acceptance of the offer. And Day Land Surveying PLLC with an estimated cost of $3,400. And the scope of work and everything is pretty much identical. I mean,
What about, what's their time schedule?
they said they would schedule it in, they weren't specific as to a date, but before I sign this, I wanna get a date from them.
Are they specific as of a year?
Well.
Well, these survey guys, I tried to get one there when David did his while ago.
Let's see, they, I believe, this is open until August first, but there's no date when they said it complete, so before I would send this out, I will definitely.
Who is, where's the Dayland survey now?
Fletcher,
Okay.
See somebody new, I never heard that one.
Kathy had heard.
Yep. Why did they give it, they didn't get an exact number, the other one, did they say why they went through the 3,500?
Well, they said there was some things that would, they don't know until they get into it. They gave estimates as to everything, what, they got it broken down, if I can find this in this. Well, what it, their scope of the services, and the fact that they have not actually physically visited the property, and in their estimates, they don't know, they have to do land records research and things of that nature. That's kind of an open end, they don't know, until they get into it.
Are they gonna, both of them are gonna pin it out, stake it out, and we plot plan, we'll have a map?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion and we go with day surveying, I don't know how the rest of you all feel, but.
Yeah, well, I'll second that motion, but I wanna, can we, before I do it, can we adjust it, so we'd like to know what the timetable is?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, that's fine.
And is it from both of them, just in case one's way out there? Like if they happen to be way out there,
Yeah,
then, you know, because there isn't much difference in the money, I don't like the 3,000, 3,500 either, but as long as it's not gonna exceed 3,500, you know, we're not, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's, I assume that's what they meant, right?
Right, not,
Yeah.
unless they run into some unforeseen.
Well, the other one says that too. The other
They
one.
both, yeah.
Right, with that, okay.
okay,
Is it okay to do that,
Yeah,
that
that's
motion
fine.
that way?
I don't have a problem with it.
So get a timetable
You're making
on
the
both.
motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion
Okay.
then, that, we, offer the job to Days.
Yeah.
Contingent upon, the expected completion date. And, do you wanna say,
First
if
of
it's
September.
2 months longer than what Jarvis would do it?
Yep,
If it's anything less than that, we'll stay with them.
yeah, if they can have it done in the next couple of months, I think that would be just fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably good, I know, it don't matter what business you're in, everybody's busy, so.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
And if we wanna clean this up, can we make a motion right now that the board authorizes Brian to sign the contract if everything comes back?
Yep, that's fine, we should have done that in the motion, that's okay.
Okay, we'll do another one, that's all. I move that we, approve, Brian sign the contract if it meets the conditions of the, motion.
Alright, a second on that?
I'll second that. as
All in
well.
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Good enough.
And I apologize for not getting that date, but just the evening on Friday.
That's alright.
Today
Holiday
was-
weekend.
Holiday weekend, and today I was doing 4 different jobs.
Oh, got that. Sponsorship of VCDP planning grant for redevelopment of
Yeah.
Abenaki Tribal Headquarters.
There's,
That's on 10.
there's really not, we have Liz Curry with us.
Okay.
Liz, can you hear me? Okay, I think.
Yes, I can, hi, thank you.
Okay, all right. Liz Curry, actually, there's been a meeting, between, the town, Reg Bellabo, for the village, and, members of the Abenaki Tribal Council and Liz. They're seeking a sponsor for a grant, to redevelop the Abenaki building. we would provide, basically, the feeling is that coming from municipality, for grants in this, line, have more weight, behind them. It's been a while since we've discussed this, Liz, but, my understanding is that we would just have to provide, some, support in the way of accounting and whatnot. We don't have to match any money or anything of that.
Yes, and if I may, Brian, the requirement with the Vermont Community Development Program is that only municipalities are eligible to apply. So anytime a nonprofit needs to access the funds, they need to ask their municipality to sponsor it. And we did talk with Reg, and I believe that Abenek, you're agnostic around whether the village or the town supports it, but I will be straightforward around the town, the administrative responsibilities. It does take up first your time as a select board. It takes up your time initially with a resolution and a public hearing, and then once the grant is awarded, it takes up your time again with a grant agreement, and then you have to sub-grant the funds. And then you have to get your attorney to write an opinion saying that all those grant agreement documents are fine, basically. They have to write an opinion. And the grant will pay for that attorney's opinion. And then it's a matter of working with you, Brian, and the treasurer to submit requisitions. This would be for a planning grant, which would be in the range of $45,000. And I wouldn't expect too many requisitions in terms of paying for basically the architects and the engineering's time. But I won't lie. I mean, it is a bureaucratic process. I just want to be honest about that because I know the town has done it before in the past, but I don't know if you've done it recently. So I just want to be, honest about it.
Yeah, we've done them recently or in process of doing them, so, yeah.
Okay.
I understand. I may need a little guidance along the way, but, you're not talking a large sum of money.
Exactly.
And a lot of requisitions, so.
Yeah, initially, I mean, it's not clear yet where this planning money would just be for architecture and engineering. Down the road, they will need money for construction. And it's not totally clear where all of that money will come from. So it is possible that we would come back to you for construction money.
I have a question. Generally, those grants have administrative money in them too. Would that administrative money be coming from the town, or would it be going, because we would have to administer the grant? So that would, do you know how much that amount is?
So the attorney's fees would be reimbursed 100%. And then the way you get your administrative reimbursement is if your employees keep timesheets, and we can submit the timesheets as part of the requisition. For a planning grant, it would be under a couple $1,000s, I think. But yeah, they will provide that if you need it.
My next question is, Brian, you don't feel this will be something that's gonna put you over the edge, right?
Over bird again?
No, I don't think it'll put us over the edge. And then, of course, we know who the treasurer is here, so
Yeah.
I haven't really spoken to her about it, but
Yeah.
usually that would be just an invoice would come in, a requisition would come in, she would send it out, so. Again, it's something that we've done here in this office quite a number of times.
Yeah.
So we need a motion from us to,
I would say, that, yes, a
that's what we're
motion
looking
from
for.
the board saying that we'll sponsor this, and
okay.
then we'll come up with a time schedule, and I'll get in touch with Liz, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'll move that we apply for a planning grant for redevelopment of the Abenaki Center.
Okay, any second on that, guys?
I'll second that.
Alright, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else,
Thank you
Russ?
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Community economic development, do we have anything under that?
Where are we, economic development? Just mention that I attended the closing last Thursday.
Yep.
At Leader Evaporator and, H2O Innovations, it went very smoothly, very quickly.
So it's a done deal.
Done deal.
Done deal.
Yep.
Yeah, I got some paperwork for that to do,
Oh, I can only
and
imagine.
we did get the $100,000, it's still positive, we're still in our account.
Yep.
But I gotta find out from the state where we send it out.
Yep.
Well, you don't have to rush.
Well,
Yeah. They'll call looking for it.
Yeah, maybe they'll forget about it.
Wow, you never know, you know?
I gotta get into the wonderful gears system, that's the state system they keep track, and that's pull the rest of my hair out of that system, but,
No, that won't take long, Brian, so.
but it went very smooth, and, and we have to give some thought what we wanna do with the revolving loan for that, and I've been thinking, so, I know, it's dangerous.
Well, I think that's another issue we ought to bring up with the village.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we meet with them, because apparently they have some kind of fund now, that they probably ain't doing much, but maybe together we could do a better job.
I know from the financing package of the building next door, the old high school, there was a setup, there was money there for a revolving loan. And, yeah, we can talk to them and see if they can. So that's, what we did for economic development. I do have something that we'll have to talk in executive session.
Okay. Alright, all good then. Highway, BB road update, the, culverts been in, we knew that,
Guardrails.
I didn't have a chance to check to see if they paved over that yet or
No,
not, but.
as of yesterday, they were
Yeah,
not.
it must be, I think they're supposed to do it this week, so.
And, guardrails look good.
Yep, good. We got, Palm Shore culvert.
Yeah,
I asked Brian to have the engineer, talk to the engineer about that culvert down there that's not in very good shape.
so he sent me this email this afternoon at 5:08 p.m. This is an additional email to what you've got in your packet. So you'd be looking at, it would be pretty expensive, we already knew that. He did talk with Scott Goodhue.
Yep.
Back of the napkin guess for this culvert replacement is between $150,000 and $250,000. Take it for its worth, as no design, survey, et cetera, hasn't been completed yet.
Yeah.
But just put you in the ballpark. Given the time of year, if we wanna know if we wanted it done this year or wait till next season. I said, well, I know it's pretty bad, but if it can last, it all depends. But if we did it now, and we don't have the money.
We don't have 250,000.
And we'd have to proceed right away and design build. The design build aspect would be the best bet to go to get it done in time. Survey and design will take some time, permits at least 2 months to get it in. So we've got he's gonna come up Thursday, plans to be in town, and he's just gonna stop by and scope it out.
Well, I'd kind of like to have him look at it and see what his opinion is. Like, it'll last till next year, or is this emergency, we have to have this done?
Right.
Because I know it's settled some more, comes in their patch.
Right, I mean, if it's an emergency, it has to get done.
That's my concern, and I'm not making that
So
call,
I think, I think
Yeah.
what I'll do is just have him come up, and maybe
Yeah.
I'll see what time he's planning coming Thursday, if
Yeah.
you're available.
Yeah, I can try to meet him.
And I'll meet with him and say, look, we
Yeah.
don't have the money, but this is emergent, this thing is gonna fail.
Yeah, because he's saying that it's a culvert now, we're gonna have to replace it with a box culverts, like we did over there, thanks to the state, so.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you know what time.
But in Kevin's opinion, the one on Berry Road is worse than that one. Berry Road sees 10 cars a day, that probably sees 4,000,
And we don't know how fast they're going.
Yeah, exactly, how fast they're going.
Maybe
Maybe it won't affect you, the speed they're going over it, so.
To say, is that a speed?
Yeah,
I thought you installed a speed bump on that kind of thing.
Yeah, somebody else jabbed me about that.
Okay, I'll let you know, James.
Okay, sounds
I
good.
mean, we won't get that culvert on Campbell Bay Road then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a
great.
done deal, that's a
Okay,
great,
so
we can afford
Take that
that.
money, put it on that one.
No, you can't.
Oh, we can't change it, we already tried, we did try that, we did try that.
That grant for Campbell Bay Road is primarily a culvert and a ditch. This is a brook going through there. You can't use that money for
Yep.
culvert.
You gotta have special money for the brook.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of water flows
Found
down
that
through
one out
there.
real fast.
Okay.
And acceptance of the BB Road, that was it for the culvert.
Yep. Night, Gordon. Good night.
Night, Gordon.
Thank you, guys.
Acceptance of the BB Road paving grant. I got a 20-page document here that they want the paving grant that we're getting from BB Road, because it's now after July 1st, so everything starts happening.
Yep.
But you have to officially accept this grant.
Okay.
It's the standard grant agreement that we've got. And I don't know if you want to sign it or you want to.
We can make a motion, you can sign it if you want, whatever.
So I'll go. That's
Yeah.
fine. No.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking, this is for the grant.
Or you just need a signature on it.
I think we already made a
Just-
motion.
Yeah, just a signature.
Well, I can sign it, that's all you need.
And the grant amount is $196,000.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we,
Do we need a motion?
The grant agreement.
yeah,
You had to accept that, grant agreement, right?
Yes. it's-
Okay, so we need a motion to accept it.
Yeah.
alright, make a motion that we accept the grant agreement, for the BB Road paving project.
Yeah, and I'll sign it.
Okay.
And to be signed by the chairman.
All right, we'll just pass that down.
I'll second it.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alright,
Opposed,
Aye.
ayes have it. Oh, where are we signing?
Right on the
Right hand side, town agency.
This is the gear system, that's only part of it. That's it's the computer that says you have a grant. Then you gotta get into this. Not user friendly.
You must have had some,
We dating this thing today?
That's what they call a job.
Yes.
What is it today? Fifth?
Fifth.
So,
Big security.
repairs to the pedestrian bridge deck.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, Jason Barney had sent me a message saying that he noticed that three boards on the deck down there on the pedestrian bridge was rotting. And so Kevin went down and checked it for me. He said, yeah, definitely they're gonna need some attention.
Okay.
You know, we don't know how many more will need attention, so I don't know how we're,
Yeah.
then you know, at some point,
We had,
to do it pretty quick.
what's his name, did some work on the railings and stuff over there a couple years ago for us.
Open arms, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Fortin.
yeah, Rainey Fortin did some, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like me to give Rainey a call?
Yeah, maybe just ask him if he'll be willing to do it again, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, oh, definitely.
oh, Joel did.
He worked on the fence.
He did, yes,
As opposed to.
To the actual deck bridge.
The deck, and someone's gonna probably have to like chisel out,
Right.
tap the board down
They
and
go-
secure it in there or something.
Yeah, okay.
Work he did was.
He did the rails, yeah, I
Yeah, he
remember
did
that.
the rail at the east end.
Yeah,
Okay, no, he's a good man. Is he still working, or he's not retired?
I still see him in the lumberyard,
I see him
so.
as one of
Yeah.
them. He's probably still working something, but.
You'll find out.
He's a good
Yeah.
NBU class of 1973.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
still running.
So I will give Rainey a call tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
alright. Anything else under highway? I don't think so. Anything else? Any other necessary business? All quiet. Correspondence?
We didn't have any.
Alright. Public comment?
Yes, I have a few comments.
Sure. Actually, I got a question for you too after. Go ahead. Now that I think about it.
I want to remind everybody of the importance of the assets that we have down at the depot. And I invite you all to come down and look around and see what's there and see what's going on. And in fact, if you like to have a visit with someone to explain what's going on down there. I'd be glad to do that. But I just want you to know that the Historical Society has been pivotal in creating what we have as the greatest community resource, in my opinion. And what we've done is we've acquired the bridge, iron bridge that people go across. We got a grant for that. We acquired the toll house, got a grant for that. We acquired the caboose, got a grant for that. And most importantly, we got a grant for the depot itself. And that involved moving the depot from up the road on the track, a third of a mile down to where it is now. So that depot hasn't always been at that location. It's been at an earlier location up the road, and it was brought down the track and reinstalled there and completely restored. And behind, again, the impetus behind all of that was the Swanton Historical Society. The beneficiary, of course, is the town of Swanton and everybody that is so proud of what's down there. Go down and take a look around. You'll see a big hole in the ground with where the underground ability to take care of the trains that were serviced there was accomplished. And the evidence of it is still there on the ground, and you can see it and appreciate it. The depot itself, as I say, was moved down the track and completely restored to where it is now. This is a great community access asset for Swanton. People always are really impressed with what they see down there. And I invite you again to come down and take a look for yourselves. It's a wonderful community asset.
Good luck.
Doesn't cost the town anything, but the town owns it. Just wanted to put in a plug for that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Ron.
welcome.
I never know how to run these things.
I think it's
Well, this one lights up. I don't know. I have to open the window.
there you go.
No, someone knows how to run it. Question for you, Ron.
Yeah,
Across the street from the depot is that little building that they got there. Is there any historic value to that building, or is it was
it's
just?
going to be demolished. It's in the process now.
Okay, that's why I'm asking you. Yeah.
The owner of it is going to take it down and clean up the site.
Okay. So that building has nothing to do with the depot. That was that put in by the state themselves?
No, it was put in at the time when they had a system of monitoring the level of the water, the river, and the speed. That's why that building was
Yeah,
constructed.
and they're gonna move their stuff out of there, they told us, the town.
Yeah, it's not our stuff.
No, it's their stuff, and then we've been in contact with them because I told them the building is shot. I went down and looked at it, it's ready to fall in the river.
They're gonna take it out.
Yeah, so they're gonna take care of it. Okay, I wasn't aware of that, so. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I did ask Kevin to put some ribbon around it, so people don't walk on that.
That's
I don't know if
right.
he did or not, I haven't looked, but, yeah. Cause that deck was holding that building up, it's
Not
pretty
too
scary.
safe.
Yeah, so. Okay, well, I'm glad to know that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Upcoming events, Tuesday, July 19th, the regulars select board meeting. We
Did I
missed-
miss public comments?
You did, but got something? Yep.
A lot of exciting stuff going on, and it's great to see you folks working so well together. And I just had a question about, we've been talking about attracting people to Swanton. I'm wondering, what is the status of the belonging statement, which is really an important piece for any town to have?
What was it? I didn't
The
hear.
belonging statement, we had discussed some language prior,
While back.
yeah.
Yep.
And I believe we were gonna talk about it with the village, and then we hadn't talked about it with the village.
No,
'cause
I don't
we
know
were
if we've
going
had meetings since then, joint meeting.
Well, some of that's gonna have to come in. It's definitely gonna be coming up when we do the website. we're gonna overhaul this website, and we're gonna use the website for something that's marketed Swan. We're gonna have to be a community that is welcome.
Actually, we have that short, longing statement that we all worked on. It is, I think, says everything that needs to be said.
I think for it to be really effective though, both municipalities have to adopt the language for the community all at
Exactly.
once.
Or,
And I look back in the minutes and this board did adopt. Probably a year.
Probably about a year ago.
We adopted what they
Yeah,
said or
they
put
did.
it out. Yep.
So, we adopted it, so it's.
So it's just the village.
Yep. So I guess they need to ask the village to adopt it then, if they will.
So then we have adopted it,
Mhm.
now we need to look towards the village for them to fall in line with us.
And I think, you know, the same thing's gonna be with the website. I believe it should be done at Swanton in the village. You know, in the town, they're all gonna be on one spot and not here, you know, you gotta go to another one. So when you go to Swanton, everything that's a village, everything for the town is right there. And then that would be somewhat your open and safe.
good.
I mean, the website, I don't know where else, I mean, much as we wanna say one Swan, there's two entities, I mean, they have.
I
electric, fire.
understand, but only
So-
strictly from a municipal service standpoint.
So again, I mean, we may think that as long as they're aligned with it, but there's cost sharing to that, who's gonna run it, so that's something we'll have to work out.
But that's also something as links can,
Links is the important part.
having all the information in one spot, I think is,
And the thing, Mark, that I've heard, if your people are looking to come here to start a business, they don't understand village town,
Oh, I don't know.
okay?
No.
So if they go to you know, if they go to a website and, you know, it's just a town or it's just a village, it's like, you know, if they go to Swanton, okay, here's who economic development would probably be you or Reggie, whatever, be listed right there. Municipal services would go to the village site. I mean, this makes it a lot simpler for people.
Oh, no, I'm not
For
disagreeing, I'm
businesses.
just saying, there's a lot of logistics and logics that are gonna be worked out, so I just.
Oh, I think it's more, I don't really believe that's the hard part. I believe that's to get everybody to agree on. It's the hard
No,
part.
I'm just saying, I've been involved in developing a website for
Yeah.
Precision Tools for a year and a half. It's not as easy as one might think. it is.
No, it isn't.
Starting from the wireframe,
Yeah.
and it takes a long time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll say it again, Tuesday, July 19th, the regular select board meeting here at 1 Academy Street, 7 o'clock. Wednesday, July 20th, planning commission meeting, 6 p.m. here at the town office building, 1 Academy Street. Thursday, 28th, DRB, 6 p.m. here at the town office building, 1 Academy Street. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
I move that we find that we enter,
Personnel and real estate.
We better say real estate too, yep.
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential personnel and real estate information for which the premature disclosure of it, the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a
Nice.
substantial disadvantage.
I'll second that.
Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. I move that based on the just made findings, the premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter executive session.
I'll second that.
Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, we're now in executive session.